Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Irene and I'm a registered dietitian, and welcome to Late Night with Irene, where I cook at an undescript time and we chat. So today, as you can see, it is actually like kind of daytime. It's actually, I think 6:30 actually. And shout out to Dinah, who is a subscriber, for giving me this idea. I'm gonna be making one of my go-to meals, so I just thought that it would fit and make sense to like make it around dinner time so that I can eat it afterwards. Full disclosure, I did get Green Chef this week because me and my boyfriend are like super into the credit card game, and so there was a really good deal for credit card points this week for Green Chef. So we did get Green Chef, and I will be using the ingredients for the meal today, but this is totally something that I would make even if I like did not get Green Chef. So the meal that we're making today is this sun-dried tomato caprese sandwich, and this is a lot more fancy than I would normally make as like my go-to meal. I feel like I've talked about like caprese sandwiches before in like previous videos, and it definitely is one of my go-tos. Among other things, my other go-tos are like probably pasta or like some kind of noodle dish or like a bulgogi bowl. So those are like kind of my like go-to meals. Otherwise, it's like a sandwich. I don't know what to make. I'm like, yeah, let's just make a caprese sandwich because we haven't made that in a while. That is kind of what we're doing today. We ordered like the maximum number of meals and number of persons, I guess, if that makes sense. So we have like 24 meals for this entire week, and it's just the two of us. So I was like, I might as well just make one for dinner tonight. You know, we're gonna be eating the same 4 meals the entire week. Might as well get started now before the groceries go bad. Yeah, I do have like all these like ingredients and stuff. They're like pre-packaged and everything, and it's not sponsored, but if Green Chef wants to sponsor me, please do. I would love to like have a sponsorship and maybe earn some extra money because dietitians don't make a lot. But let's just get started with the recipe. Typically, if I were making this, I would just use like whatever bread we have. My favorite is sourdough, but I will settle for like a ciabatta. And I think my love for caprese sandwiches came from college, when there used to be this like really good sandwich shop called Fricano's, and they had the sandwich, which I don't even know what it's called anymore, I don't remember, but it was essentially a caprese sandwich. So it was like sourdough with some pesto and then avocado and mozzarella and tomatoes, and then it was like, I guess, panini pressed. So it was the most delicious thing ever. And sadly, the restaurant closed down during the pandemic, and I have had this like hole in my stomach, I guess, that has not been able to be fulfilled by any other like sandwich shops that I have tried. And I feel like I've tried like recreating it at home too. It's never quite hit the mark. So maybe this Green Chef recipe will today. I don't know. Sorry, I just went on another tangent, but let's get started. So, okay, so we have to place sun-dried tomatoes in a small bowl. Okay, this is fancy. I never use sun-dried tomatoes ever. I love that everything's pre-packaged, but like also kind of concerned that there's so much plastic. I know it's like supposed to be one of the more like sustainable ones, but I don't know. So it says to soak these for at least like 5 minutes. First step I was supposed to do was preheat the oven to 425. I'm gonna use my toaster oven, and that preheats like super fast, so I'm not gonna quite worry about it yet. The next step is to remove and discard any thick center stems from the kale, and then roughly chop the leaves into bite-sized pieces. This does not look like enough kale for 2 people, but that is okay. So because it's like pre-packaged and they didn't tell me to wash it, I'm gonna assume that these are like pre-washed. I really hope that's the case. Like, I don't think Green Chef would do me dirty like that. Let's move that over to the side. Use the apple and then cut it into like slices, and then halve the slices. Okay, so I believe that we're also making like a side salad to go with this sandwich, which this is already fancy, for me at least. Usually, whenever you make it at home, we use avocado. Sometimes we might use pesto. We don't really do that very often because I just feel like it's a lot, but we do that, and then we do some spinach, mozzarella, and tomatoes. That's typically what my regular go-to caprese sandwich is. I feel like I'm not a good multitasker. Like I can't like chop and talk at the same time. I feel like I'm gonna like chop one of my fingers off or something. Apples are done. Next is to cut the fresh mozzarella cheese. This is like a treat. We normally get the sliced mozzarella cheese because it is way cheaper. We will on very rare occasions buy like the ball fresh mozzarella cheese because it's expensive, but this is what they used to use at Fricano. So like anytime I get to have fresh mozzarella on a sandwich, I'm very happy. I feel like all I've been doing is talking about my sandwich and my love for this sandwich, but I actually did have a topic prepared in mind to talk about and chat about while I was making the sandwich, and that is just like funny patient encounters or like funny medical stories that I've had so far, even just like working at this hospital that I'm currently at, or like in peds. Like sometimes you'll see some like pretty interesting or like weird things, and like some things you're just like, what? And then there's other things that like you can't really help but laugh or like tell your other coworkers about. Oh my gosh, I can't open this. So while I was brainstorming for this video, one of the like funny stories that I thought about happened initially on the weekend, the one weekend that I was working. So like I went in there to talk to mom and like assess baby. It was like an infant. I don't remember how old they were, but they were probably like, I don't know, I want to say like 4 months old. They were creamy, maybe, but I don't remember. Anyways, so I went in to talk to this mom. We're talking about how she's mixing the formula because that's a huge thing. I went along with like the assessment. This kid is like gaining really well. I kind of like wasn't gonna change anything. Just wanted to make sure that mom was mixing like to appropriate concentrations and everything. And then at the end of the assessment, I always like ask and like make sure I'm like, okay, so do you have any like questions or concerns at this time? And mom goes like, actually I do. Could you like ask a nurse to come in here? I was wondering if my son could get circumcised. And why mom decided to ask me of all people, I don't know. But I was just like, okay, let me go see if I can find your nurse. And like, me being me, actually I go find the nurse, and like she's sitting at like the nursing station with all of the other nurses, and I was like, I like very like hesitantly go up there and I'm like, are you the nurse for like so-and-so? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, so mom wanted me to ask you to go in there because she wants to know if she can get her son circumcised. And like the other nurses around her just like burst out laughing, and I'm like, I'm just the messenger here. And so I went along with my day, thought that that was super funny, you know. A week later, baby's still here, so I go up there for the reassessment, and I again like talk with mom, see how things are going, blah, blah, blah. At the end, I go, oh yeah, mom, so do you have any other questions or concerns? And she again asks me, she's like, yeah, did you ever ask and see if I could get my son circumcised? And I was like, yeah, so I actually did tell the team, but I don't think that they would do it because like, I don't think he's going in for any procedures or anything at this time. And so I just thought that that was like very funny, a little awkward for me. I guess she remembered that she asked me the first time and then decided to ask me again. But I don't know why she would ask me because that has nothing to do with me. So yeah, there was that experience. I remember like the first time when it happened, I did also message the resident and I was like, hey, like FYI, mom asked me about like getting our son circumcised, so like in case that comes up, like just wanted to let you know. And then the resident was so funny. He was like, ha ha ha, like mom didn't ask us about that. And I was like, of course she did. And then so the second time around, I messaged the resident again. I was just like, hey, so this is the second time mom has asked me specifically about getting her son circumcised. Could you just touch base with them? So yeah, they ended up getting discharged. I didn't see them a third time, but that is definitely like ranked in the top 5 like weirdest questions that I've ever been asked as a dietitian. But yeah, and I feel like I just like stopped making food to tell that story, so I need to start making food again. I think I have to toast the ciabatta. I feel like I really am like really bad at this like talking, and I don't even know what I was gonna say, talking and like making food thing. I have my ciabatta. Oh right, these sun-dried tomatoes have been soaking, I think, for definitely more than 5 minutes, so I'm gonna take them out and just chop them up. With this kale and apple, we're gonna be making a salad, so I'm gonna get a bowl and then we can toss everything. I'm trying to like think of like other funny stories that I've had, but like I can't really think of any off the top of my head, like only some of the more recent things. I just put kale in the bowl and it says to drizzle with half of the balsamic glaze. So this I feel like is super cute. It's like this tiny little bottle of balsamic glaze, which I love that like everything is perfectly portioned. Lightly seasoned with salt. A little bit too much might have come out, but I guess you just massage it until the leaves are softened. So the other like funnier story that I could think of was recently I had this mom come in with this kid. They were a PO feeder, so ate by mouth. So I was kind of getting like a diet history and like doing my regular assessment, asking mom, what does kiddo usually drink or eat, whatever. And mom tells me like, oh yeah, he drinks like lots of Pediasure. I don't remember, but like, oh, I think it was dysphagia. Their PO intake is like somewhat limited. So they drink a lot of Pediasure, and like mom does like purees at home and things like that. And so we're like talking, and like mom is asking lots of questions, and she's asking me like, oh, I heard that I like need to give him more fat. And I think it was because like they had seen a dietitian previously that had recommended Liquigen, which is a fat additive we sometimes use for like tube feeders if they need extra calories or something like that from fat. And mom said that he wasn't tolerating it very well, so she stopped giving that to him and was giving him like other like food sources of fat, like avocado or like almond like butter or like milk. I wasn't quite sure. This was also a Spanish speaking mom, so I had an interpreter in the room helping me. Wasn't really quite sure what mom was like saying, because there's some things that like just don't translate very well. Mom is also like, oh yeah, and I give kiddo eggs once a week, but I can only give it once a week because it makes his farts really bad. And I was like, oh, okay, gotcha. And like for 5 minutes straight, then mom would not stop telling me about kiddo's egg farts. Like she's like, we have to tell family or like friends that come over like if he's had eggs that day because it's just so bad. Meanwhile, the interpreter is like there with me. She's the one that's having to translate all of this, and like I can tell like she is having a great time. This mom was like a lot of fun, and she's like, yeah, and I'm afraid of like giving him beans too, because I'm like, what if the same thing happens? And I'm like, you know, like with beans it's a little bit different, you know, it's like usually like the fiber that like makes people, I guess, really gassy and like uncomfortable. Like I was like, it's really healthy though. It's got carbs and protein, so it's worth a try if you want to do it, but I understand if you don't want to feed him beans. Yeah, that was like a fun conversation that I had. And then as soon as we came out, the interpreter was just laughing, and like, that mom is so much fun. And I was like, yeah, that's probably the most fun encounter that I've ever had. So back to making the salad slash sandwich. I realized just now that I had left the bread in the toaster oven for maybe a tad bit too long, and so they're like very toasty. So that's what we're working with right now. I still have not finished the salad yet. I think I'm going to just add the apple, toss to combine, season with salt and pepper to taste. Okay. I feel like the apple to kale ratio here is a little bit off. It's like a lot of apple and not that much kale. Look at this. What the heck? So I'm not gonna even really bother like tossing it, because like what's the point? Let's make the rest of the sandwich. So spread the bottom half with half teaspoon of olive oil. That was not included, but that's fine. I have olive oil. This is the olive oil that we have. We buy it from Costco, so it's this giant jug for like 20 bucks. So I'm just gonna freehand it. Put mozzarella on the top. So this is a lot of mozzarella. They gave like, I wanna say 4 ounces for each. And like these ciabattas are kind of small. Sprinkle with applewood smoked sea salt. So this came in like a little package right here. I don't know where you would find this, but it sounds kind of good. Oh, I was supposed to put the mozzarella on the bottom half. That would make sense. Then the top half is pesto. I feel like you like can't see anything that I'm doing right now. So let me move it over here. This is a lot of pesto. Oh my gosh, there's like a giant hole in the middle of this slice of bread. Okay, and then you sprinkle with the sun-dried tomatoes on this side. All right, bake for 2 to 4 minutes until the mozzarella is slightly melted. Okay, so the sandwiches are out of the oven now, and basically all that's left to do is to plate it. So, okay, mozzarella is very stringy, love that. And then, it's a very tall sandwich. I'm going to cut this into a triangle because triangles taste better. Ooh. Yum. Okay, my plate is like no longer aesthetic, but that's okay. I'm just gonna grab some tongs and then plate the salad. Oh, and you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to add the balsamic glaze. I'm just gonna add it like here. Okay, here is the finished product. It definitely does not look like the Green Chef picture, but that's okay. I'm gonna give this a taste test to make sure it tastes okay. Oh my gosh, the bread is so crunchy. That was my fault, but fresh mozzarella is definitely the move. Tasted good. Not quite like Fricano's level, but I feel like this is just kind of different. Let me try some of the kale. I mean, also delicious. Definitely a step up from like my usual go-to meal, but that was super yummy. And I'm going to eat this with my boyfriend now for dinner. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please be sure to give it a like and let me know down in the comments below if there's any other foods that you want to see me make or any other topics that you want me to talk about. And I will see you next time. Bye.